Oh, also, just a tip, when people are dyeing their hair, don't make your first response, oh, that looks good on you, but I would never do it.
I could never do that.
Don't make that your first response. Nobody asked you to do it.
Two hours later.
Okay, hello. We are dyeing my hair.
Yeah.
We are going to re-bleach this stuff.
This.
Thank you. And then re-dye all of it pink. So, yay. And we thought, since we're going to be sitting here for a few hours, that we would talk about grad school for a little bit.
Also note, neither of us are professionals. Neither of us actually knows what we're doing, and we're just reading instructions on containers and hoping that it goes well.
But you bleach. Okay, yes. Worst case scenario, she burns my head and my hair falls out. We'll be back in a second. We're going to get some of this while my head's not down.
Yeah.
So. Hello. Welcome back. So she did like the bottom back, so that way I wasn't looking down the whole time. If you want, Alex, we could answer like a question or two.
Okay, Marissa.
Fantastic. So just first off, why grad school? Why grad school for you?
So I love school. I've always loved school, and I knew I wanted to get a master's degree, and my friend Miranda told me about a program that was overseas, and it was only a year, and you got 2 degrees, and it was probably a fraction of the price that it was in the US. And so I was like, oh my gosh, let's see what happens. And I left undergrad pretty confused, so I figured, why not continue my education a little bit and see if I can help sort stuff out. What about you?
For me, this is similar. I love learning. I feel like, which maybe I should have stayed in undergrad longer. This is something looking back on. 4 years isn't really enough time to let like a kid figure out what they want to do with life, in my opinion. Both ended up going to the same program that was a year. It was, you get a degree from the University of Malta. You get a Master's of Arts in Mediterranean Security and Conflict Analysis. And then you get a degree from George Mason University. You get a Master's of Science in Conflict Analysis and Resolution. So it was just kind of like a double whammy. I was like, might as well. We had both applied to other grad schools and gotten into a few for like higher ed and counseling and stuff like that. So very like people-oriented things, but a lot of them would end up being a similar price or more.
What's the actual application process like to apply to grad school?
So what is the application process like? So for ours, I know ours is a little bit different. There's a lot of more, I would argue, more intensive interview processes with other programs, but ours, we filled out an application online and had an essay, and then there was like online forums and meetings you could go to if you wanted to,
and references,
and you had to have, I think it was 2 or 3 references, and you also had to pick like what professor you'd be interested in doing research with out of the list that works with the program, which was like an interesting part because it was all people we hadn't met. We could just read their bios. And then you apply online. It was a double application, so we just did it through George Mason, and they applied us to both because we were in grad school. You apply for the program, you don't apply for the school. So we just applied for the program, and it applied us to both universities. And then about 2 months later, we got accepted, and then in the middle of our graduate capstone our undergrad capstone class, us and our friend Miranda all accepted at the same time because we said we're going to Europe for a year.
What about like the price? So let's say someone doesn't want to go overseas. What are ways that people can get to grad school and go to grad school and pay a lower tuition amount, or actually do something that might be affordable in some sense of the word, that affordable and school go together?
The price of grad school, as we said, ours was a lot significantly cheaper. If we had accepted before April 30th, April something, I forgot what the exact date was.
If we getting blonde.
If we accepted before that, we got like 2,000 euros off.
Yeah.
We'd get a refund. So we accepted before that deadline. And like I said, like Georgetown was like 60,000 a year. With that, if I had applied earlier, I could have applied to like graduate assistantship positions. So with grad assistantships, you have like things like working in housing or being grad assistants for different offices, and you also have like the teaching aides and stuff. So you have all those different options that helps either cover the cost of tuition or has some sort of benefit for you. There's different options like that, and then there's also like fellowships, and they don't talk about it a lot, but Fulbright does a lot of like paid grad school stuff, and there's also stuff with like AmeriCorps can help like pay for your school, and I'm not sure if they do stuff directly with grad school or not. So,
and then if you decide to go to work right after undergrad and you want to go to master's school, there's a lot of businesses that if you put in the work that will pay for you to go to grad school.
Yeah.
It might not be, I don't know, your top choice or something like that. Having the ability for someone to possibly pay for you is awesome. So now that you've gone to grad school, do you feel like things are different? Do you feel like
yes and no.
Are you happy that you went?
Specifically our program, there was not enough set up to give us real world experience. So right now we're applying to jobs with 2 masters coming and finishing up thesis papers. We don't have the experience. A lot of these jobs are asking for 5+ years of experience, and they set us up with like a month plus of like planning an event, and then like the events took place over like one specific week in March and things like that. So there was like a couple moments, but I think if this program's a year, they could tack on 6 months at the end and say you have 6 months to go do like an internship or a practicum somewhere, because like conflict resolution can literally apply to everything.
But that's also a difficulty with education in general that I think if you're thinking about grad school that you have to keep in mind. Education, and I'm saying this from my ivory tower of having gone to grad school, and I understand the privilege that comes with that and like the access that comes with that. It's also very separate and a lot of times void from general society and what people are feeling and experiencing.
Yeah.
And they get to kind of exist in this bubble of they do research and talk about their papers in a room together. I want to kind of like be with people and working with people. So I'm trying to find a way to kind of take this like hands-off existence that academia is and find a way to like connect it to actual human beings.
Yeah. What's the workload like?
So it's a lot more papers than undergrad. It's a lot longer papers than undergrad. I honestly, personally, and this is just program particularly, didn't feel like it was that much different than undergrad. It also could be the classes and the spaces that I chose to put myself in. But it's one of those things that like, if you do the reading and you put the work in, professors are going to recognize it, and you might not have the perfect paper, but they're not, and I can speak from professors who also implied this too, you're not going to fail grad school unless you try to.
Yeah. I would also...
So the biggest hurdle with grad school is usually getting in. So getting jobs post-grad school, what's that like?
Other people have more to say about this. I will be very honest. I have very little motivation to apply to jobs. I've applied to 3, which is nothing compared to most people. One
I've
of them
applied to 11 and been rejected from all of them. So
one of them I got rejected from. One of them responded to me and it like sent a second like essay interview, and then I never responded because I realized I didn't want to live in Washington D.C. And then the third one hasn't responded, but the job's technically supposed to start in today, so maybe I'm supposed to take the hint. And then like Alex just said, she's applied to 11 and hasn't gotten into any of them. I think that's where the experience comes in. Like I would argue like a lot of social work programs have like built-in practicums and like real world experience. And I think like medical based ones and even like some anthropology ones where you might have to go to like an archaeology site. And I think there's a lot of programs that don't, that you either have to pave the way for yourself or really look out for those opportunities. And like when we were in class 5 days a week and then would go home and have 100 pages of reading and have an essay due at the end of the week, it got kind of hard to like devote all that time and then still have a break from all of it. So it was just hard to try to keep up with it and be like, okay, what can I do to get experience?
I also think the biggest thing about all of this, and like, I don't know, we probably end up putting everything that we said in.
Yeah.
you just have to ask yourself what you want. Like,
Yeah.
even if society's telling you that your only option is to go to grad school or to continue your education or to do this, ask yourself if that's really what you're interested in.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're not interested in school or learning in that sense of the way of learning, then don't do it. Or like, it's a choice that you can make later in life too.
Ow!
What?
You're getting mad at me even though it's out.
I'm not mad at you. I said I can't get to the front of your head. If you feel like it's out, wrap your hair in a towel.
Doesn't feel like it's out.
Okay, so our camera died, and this is where we're at. Lovely bleach job. I'm not gonna tone it because I don't want to, and I'm gonna dye it pink. We're gonna let it dry for a little bit, and we know the camera died, so this is like a huge jump in time. But yeah, ow. Grad school and looks and perception of people. Tell me about it.
You all have no idea how many people were like, you shouldn't dye your hair. No, don't dye your hair. And we're also getting to the point in society where it's kind of like, do I want to be around people and do I want to work for people who are going to judge me if I have a certain color hair?
Also, the comments on our tattoos.
I
and
literally
stuff
got
like
comments
that.
on my tattoos all the time. You're so lucky your tattoos are hidden. My tattoos aren't hidden because I planned them to be hidden. I just like those locations.
A lot of people had assumptions about us because we're too energetic, like 12-year-olds.
Yeah.
So even we did something in class, and I would argue we did like a pretty good job, and then the response was just, you two were so adorable.
Which no one was trying to.
No one was
any
trying
sort
to
of
be
way.
mean or anything. Like, they were trying to be nice. But
There's this perception to be successful that you have to be like this
cold,
stern, hard,
stoic.
no fun.
You can't smile. You can't laugh about things. You have to read CNN and what's a other big news source that people talked about?
BBC.
And BBC every day. Guess what? My news comes from Twitter, okay? Twitter has the most accurate up-to-date news. You get the most.
I feel like you're yelling at them. They didn't do anything to you.
Hello.
Hi.
Our SD card got full.
Yeah, so we're just doing a quick little, and the video. So her hair, the roots are darker, the tips are a little bit lighter. I think it looks pretty dope. So
I think it looks pretty cool too.
We're gonna leave it like this and just see what it looks like.
See what happens. Hopefully you got some use out of this or found it entertaining or something. Talk to us about grad school or college or just anything. We're kind of up in the air with our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Let's hear what you're doing.
Yeah.
Bye.
Wow. Okay. Look at it. With that slight ombre. Okay. I'm a pigeon. Ah.
Okay. Boop. I'm recording again.
Hairstylists work really hard and their jobs are really intense. Also, tip your hairstylist.
Yeah. Tip everyone.
Tip me.